So today we're going to do something kind of fun. It's in a lot of ways it's going to be sort of a review, but we're going to talk about all the ways to make sure that your picture is as sharp as possible. This is a question I get all the time, and what's really interesting is that a lot of times people sort of work at it exactly backwards. In other words, that they start by thinking that they have an equipment problem. Then after they work at it a little while, they think that it's something they need to deal with in post-processing. And then a little while after that, they finally settle on the fact that it's something they're doing during the shooting phase. And that is by far the most common thing. In other words, I would say probably 78% of the problems that I see with sharpness are in the shooting phase itself. And then maybe 10–15% have to do with post-processing technique, and a tiny percent have to do with gear that's not sharp enough for one reason or another. Keep this in mind as you're thinking about gear and as it relates to sharpness. I mean, most of the pictures you have, you're going to post online, you're going to show on a website, something like that. Even if you're dealing with a 4K display, that has less pixels in the display than are in even an entry-level DSLR or mirrorless camera. In other words, those cameras, let's say it's 24 megapixels, that's 6,000 pixels across by 4,000 pixels wide, and so therefore that's more than a 4K display right there. So you have plenty of resolution for digital display and almost always for print as well. So you probably have enough resolution. When it comes to lenses, your lens is probably sharp enough as it is, and I know we all look and we all talk to each other about lens sharpness, and somebody shows up with a new lens and says how sharp it is, or you see a testing result and say, wow, this is a super sharp lens, and you think, man, I need that. I'm here to tell you, let me give you my own example, that I recently bought a Canon 24-70 f2.8 lens. And if you read about lenses, this is supposed to be one of Canon's very sharpest zoom lens. So I got it and rushed home and was convinced that my pictures were going to be so much better, and I tested it side by side compared to what I already had, and it was just a tiny bit sharper. It just doesn't make that much difference. What I'm going to talk to you about now, though, does make a big difference. And so here's what we're going to do. And fortunately, most of this is review, okay? We're going to talk about two things: the sharpness you get from shutter speed and stability, and then the sharpness you get from focus and depth of field. As I mentioned earlier, the number one problem that you're going to face when it comes to sharpness is shutter speed. In other words, that if you're hand holding or if your subject is moving, you need to use a really fast shutter speed so that there's no movement at all during the exposure process. If you do that, things will be really crisp in the scene, and so make sure you're doing that. We've already talked about that, so I won't belabor the point, but I did want to stress it up front. The next thing is, if you are using a slower shutter speed, make sure that you have the right stabilization and you're using good solid technique to make sure there's no movement during the exposure process. Let's talk about that for a second. I've mentioned here a little bit of this, but when you are dealing with stabilization, you're going to have a tripod. Okay, that much is obvious. I already mentioned this piece too, but make sure you're not touching the camera during the exposure process. Use a remote shutter release. You can get these ones with the cords for under 10 bucks. You can also get wireless ones for about 20–25 bucks, and even ones that have a lot of different additional functionality at this point, as long as you're not buying the Canon or Nikon one, are like 75–80 bucks. So this is not out of reach. This will keep you from touching the camera, and that's a really important thing. Another thing to keep in mind if you're using a DSLR is that when the mirror in the DSLR flips out of the way, which happens when you press the shutter button, that could cause tiny vibrations. There's a function in your menu, though, called mirror lockup. That will allow you to turn the exposure process into a two-step thing, where the first click flips the mirror out of the way, the second click of the shutter button, then takes the exposure. So that way the mirror is already flipped up out of the way. Keep in mind, if you're using live view or something like that, then that will already have happened, so you don't need to enable mirror lockup. If you have a mirrorless camera, then obviously there's no mirror, so you don't need to worry about that. Anyway, another thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is to make sure that there's absolutely no movement in your tripod. That can happen one of two ways. Number one, a lot of times you're on unstable ground. I do a lot of coastal stuff, and so there's usually sand, and I need to make sure that my tripod is dug in or something where there's no movement, especially if water's going to hit it. So make sure that you're on good, solid ground with your tripod, because just a tiny movement can cause blur. The second thing is that make sure that your controls here are really tight and that everything is stabilized up top, because these controls can sag during the exposure. Keep in mind, you may be using a 20-30 second exposure here, sometimes even longer, and there can be tiny bits of sag during that process that creates movement, that creates blur. Okay, so make sure these controls are really tight. Also, if you're using a bigger lens, make sure the weight is evenly distributed so that it's centered on the tripod. What happens is most big lenses have a separate collar, and that collar is designed to be attached to the tripod. That way it evens the weight out. So that'll keep things from sagging during this process, because again, just the tiniest of movements can create problems. Another thing to keep in mind is that you're going to be dealing with wind and things like that. You may need to add additional weight to the tripod. Sometimes I'll actually hang my camera bag from it to kind of try to keep it steady, but whatever you can do to keep that tripod from moving is really, really important. One final tip, make sure that if you have a lens with image stabilization, that you have the image stabilization turned off if you have your camera on a tripod. The image stabilization works with little motors, and that can create a tiny bit of blur. So go ahead and turn that off. But those are some tips that'll keep things good and sharp when you have your camera using a slow shutter speed on a tripod. The next thing to keep in mind when it comes to sharpness in the field is simply to make sure that your focus is right, and we just talked about that, so I won't belabor that subject again. But that also, associated with that, you have sufficient depth of field. I find that focus and depth of field are probably the number two thing that causes people to be unhappy with the sharpness of your picture. So just make sure that you're setting your focus point properly and that you've got sufficient coverage in your depth of field to keep everything sharp front to back, assuming that's what you want. Once you're done with those things, then you can take the picture into post and make it super sharp. And I'll show you techniques how to do that later. But you can't sharpen away blur. You have to start with a good foundation, and these techniques will make sure that you do that. So I know this has been a review, but this is a topic that everyone asks about, and it's really important. So use these things to make sure that you're ending up with a good sharp image. So that takes us to today's assignment, and what I want you to do is put these sharpness techniques, mostly involving shutter speed and focus, to work. And we're going to do that by taking pictures of wildlife. You're going to have a fast shutter speed in order to catch them, and they really require precise focus and doing it quickly. So this is going to be a challenge, but if you do it right, you're going to end up with a great photo. And not only that, it's going to really hone your technique. So have some fun with this one, and good luck.